Hello everyone, this is Money Mom. Welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to talk about alternatives to things that many of us can no longer afford, which is housing. Let's get started and talk about it. This is my series talking about, hey, we are upset, we don't love the inflation, and we are being priced out of a lot of things that we used to be able to afford. One was transportation, some groceries. This is housing. I've got actually 18 ideas, but then I just came up with the 19th. So I think I'm going to write that one down so I don't forget it. I actually have 19 ideas and alternatives. And if you're in a situation where you're having a hard time, affording housings, whether you own or you rent, then maybe there's an idea here you can use. It is, at least there's options. That's the thing that's great about this, guys. The more ideas we can all share with any of these series, the better. So that's one thing I did want to mention. Okay, I'm going to start right away with number one. Okay, and I actually know people that are doing a few of these. Okay, number one, I have a mystery shopper that owned a home in Florida. Actually owned it for a long time. And I just spoke to him last week. He told me that it needed a lot of work and his homeowner's insurance really went up. He said that he was really struggling, and he still had a mortgage on it, and because of that, his house payment went up $400 a month. So he basically sold his house and he downsized and sold pretty much everything except for some basic items, and he's now living in an RV. And because he does some pastoring on the side, he found somebody that is allowing him to stay on their land. He still pays a little something each month, but he said he is saving so much money. He likes the RV, so RV living might be an option. Number two, and I know this one might sound terrible, but I love watching the videos in it. Living in a van and traveling around. I'm not saying it'd be ideal for any of us. I'm just mentioning that. Okay, another one is extended lease. I do know of somebody that actually signed a lease. They got in on a special for an apartment and they signed an 18-month lease. So if you could possibly get an extended lease to kind of lock you in for a price for a while until you can figure some things out, that's always good. Okay, number four, negotiate. Let's say you're going to rent a home, negotiate for a better lease or a better price. And let me tell you why. I've known of a few people to do this when they're renting a home, is they negotiate for a better lease. And what this particular person said is, you don't have to clean it, you don't have to paint it. We will do all of that. And we can actually do small repairs ourselves. And I know someone that did that and they got $300 a month knocked off their rent. Now that's a big savings right there. So negotiate. Hey, you know what? See if there's something you can offer for them for cutting some money off your rent. Number five, network with others. Do you know anybody that could rent? For example, I've known of somebody that was a pastor of a church, and he also did some real estate. Now, he rented out homes on the side, but he charged a little less to people he could trust, because people that would keep the home clean, he didn't want them to have pets and things like that. But he actually charged them less, and he, mostly rented to people that were seniors that he knew would take care of everything. So network around and see if there's somebody that could give you a fair price. Okay, number six, rent a room, just a room. I know actually a few people that have done that, where they actually rented just a room. Now they had use of the kitchen and everything, but it was only $700 a month, and that included their electricity. Now that is a good deal. And then number seven, you could get roommates, and I actually know several people that have done this. They rent out a house together, and I think that the rent is $2,200, but each person chips in, and I don't know how much they each pay because they put it all together. I think they put it together with electricity and cable and everything. It comes out to like $800 a month for each person. A lot more affordable than going out and renting an apartment by itself, depending what city, okay? Because some of these one-bedroom apartments can be quite costly. Number eight, living with family. I do know a few people that do live with their family and they chip in and everybody chips in together. Number nine, and I actually don't know if they still do this, you could get a job as an apartment leasing agent and you might get your rent for free, so that's an option. Number 10, you could house sit and do that and actually make money doing that. Number 11, I've heard that you can save money doing this, but I don't know much about this one. Maybe living in a mobile home or renting a mobile home. 12, rent this, and I know someone that did this, and I actually want to share a story about this because I met this lady about a month ago when I was doing a demo. Rent a very small apartment, or what they call a studio apartment, with absolutely no amenities. We have one in Dallas. It's near North Park Mall. And this lady that I met who just graduated college, and she's a manager at a store, and she has retail experience, but she's a retail manager. She's getting paid a good salary, but she wants to pay off her college loans. So she's living as cheaply as possible. And so what she's doing are a couple things. She found a apartment that is a studio. It's super tiny, no amenities at all, okay? And she is paying like $725 a month. It doesn't have a little washer dryer connection, anything like that. But so she's saving money doing that. She also doesn't own a car. I know, a little off topic. She takes a bus because where she's living has a bus line, okay? And so she can walk right out her apartment, grab a bus, and get to where she needs to. She might have to transfer. So she moved to a place that was on a bus line. Like where I live in Garland, which is a suburb of Dallas, there, you know, where I used to live, I used to kind of live right in Dallas, and I could walk across the street and catch a bus. Where I live now, there isn't that option. So being on a bus line can really help if you don't want to own a car, which I know is off topic, but I'm just mentioning about this lady. So basically, all her money that she makes, because she lives on a very frugal budget, packs her lunches, she's throwing all of it towards her student loan. So she just got a very tiny apartment with absolutely no amenities. Okay, next one is, do you qualify for any kind of help at all? That's something to ask depending on your income. Okay, number 14, another thing is I knew somebody that did this. They offered help at the apartment. They wanted a cheaper rent. And what they did for a cheaper rent is they offered to do some maintenance and some help. I knew somebody else in exchange for a cheaper rent. I knew someone else where they were a manager at the apartment and they were the only leasing agent. It was a small apartment, and sometimes they would want weekends off. They trained somebody else that lived in the apartment that was renting an apartment to maybe work some weekends in lieu of a cheaper rent. I'm not saying that you can do that stuff now. I'm just throwing out ideas. And so this manager, this person would work on Saturdays. I think the office was closed on Sundays. So the person that moved in worked every single Saturday and would help out in other days that she could too, in terms of getting a cheaper rent. So you could offer some services at a home or apartment, whatever service it is, for maybe getting cheaper rent. So that's something you could do. Number 15, be willing to relocate. I know that would be tough. I know I wouldn't want to relocate because I've got so many wonderful friends here. And when you relocate, I'm going to tell you something. I would not want to pack up our house. Are you willing to get rid of a lot of stuff? I've known people that have moved and relocated, and they basically got rid of 90% of their stuff. Also with that, I love animals, dogs and cats. I love both of them. But not having a pet does help with moving. I'm not saying people should advocate for getting rid of your pets. I believe if we have any pets, we should take really good care of them and provide them a safe, loving environment. So I'm not advocating doing that. I'm just kind of stating that. Okay, so be willing to. Another thing, number 16, check with your local housing authority or maybe the city and see if there's some options. Look into what options are out there. Bottom line is, communicate with everybody you can. Are there places out there that can help you, like organizations that might have, somebody that that might be able to say, hey, we know some places that you might get some affordable housing. Now, it may not be anything fancy, and that's the thing. If you want affordable housing, you may have to move into a really small place. Okay, another one, and I know people that have done this, be a nanny or in-care home provider. Doing something like that, you can save quite a bit of money. You might get free rent. I know some people that have been pastors of a church. And then when I was in college, there was a place called the Newman Center, and some people would work with college kids, and they would get to live at the Newman Center, but they would work with kids. Or you could be, and I just thought about this, you could be an RA or RD in a college dormitory and live with all these wild young adults. Now that would be fun. You know how crazy I am. I would be able to fit right in there with them. But you could do something like that. See if there's a place that you could live and get that your rent or living quarters a portion of your salary. So you could be a caregiver for somebody, you could be a nanny, you could be a pastor of a church, you might be a youth director. I mean, I'm just throwing things out there, you know, just these are just ideas. That could be one. And so that kind of goes with number 18. You could do some kind of medical, a nurse. There's many different jobs. You could live on a cruise ship. Now that would be fun. I've actually never been on a cruise. Okay, and last but not least, let's say that your house and your taxes are too high. You could move to a smaller place. But then if you do that, you might be, you'd really have to cut down. For example, I remember Prepper Princess did a video once about how to afford cheaper housing. And what she said in the video was this. She said, if you were willing to, have say a 2-bedroom with 1 bath. She said having 1 less bathroom could save you, I think, about $40,000. So can you get away with just 1 bathroom? I'll be honest, I've been spoiled with 2 bathrooms forever, but could you get away with that? Could you say if you've got a 3-bedroom, 2 bath, could you downsize to a 2-bedroom, 1 bath and get rid of 50% of your stuff and be able to pay maybe, have cheaper house payment or rent doing that? I don't know. So this is just an idea. I know this was kind of a rambly video. I gave a lot of ideas, but I wanted to throw as many out there as I could. I want to hear from you in the comments below. If people are being priced out and they can't afford to move out on their own because their income just isn't quite enough, yes, they can make more money. That's always an option, okay? But for some reason, maybe if it isn't an option at that time, right then, what are some options you have that I didn't mention? I know you guys have tons of them. I want to hear from you in the comments below. And one other question. What other videos should I do about things that people are having a hard time affording? I've done transportation. I've done housing. I've done groceries. I think I'm also going to talk about insurances. But let me know of things that people can no longer afford. What do you want to see for the next video? That's all I have to say for now. I love you, I appreciate you, and I sure hope you come back for tomorrow morning's video. Bye-bye.